This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the upcoming Iowa City Community Theater production of the musical Pippin. Say hi to Josh Sazon. Josh, nice to see you again.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Thanks so much for being here. And Wes Hable. Hi, Wes.
Hi. Good to be here.
Glad to have you both. Josh, you are the director of the show, and Wes is the music director, so we have the entire leadership team right here in place, pretty much.
Is that what they call it now?
So when does the show go up, first off?
Show goes up this Friday the 20th. It runs for 2 weekends. Friday, Saturday evening performances beginning at 7:30, and a Sunday matinee starting at 2.
Okay. And Pippin is a musical. It's one of those musicals that almost everybody, especially people of a certain age, know a couple of the songs, but might not be able to tell you what the plot's about. So first off, what are the songs that are in the musical that everybody's going to know?
Well, if you've ever been in show choir, apparently, of a certain age, Magic to Do is what starts the show off, and it's a wonderful number as well. You have Corner of the Sky. It's the classic I Want song from the protagonist, and it's people used to do that back in the day. What else, Wes?
I think I did Extraordinary, which is a song Pippin says to declare that he's different than everybody else and he deserves more out of life.
This musical came out during the time when people who are writing musicals and books for musical were trying to kind of break out of the, show tunes, conventional storytelling and things like that. So it definitely has, just put it this way, it definitely kind of has that 60s, 70s feel about it.
Oh, certainly. It came out in the early 70s. The composer of the show, Stephen Schwartz, had copped that his big influence really in doing the score was Carole King. So you have that kind of early 70s vibe to it.
And the story is very, I'm going to say, fantastical.
No, not really. I mean, it's the traditional coming-of-age story. I mean, boy gets out of college and tries to find out what to do with his life, and that's pretty much
okay. Well, that's a good point, I guess.
Story.
Yeah. It's just it just rolls out in he meets characters, and it's told in kind of a fanciful way.
Pretty
guess,
much, yeah.
Would be.
It is a picaresque one.
So now we've kind of talked around the plot a little bit. Josh, give us the 2-paragraph summary of the story.
Well, this is a story about the younger son of the Emperor Charlemagne. His name is Pippin. And it is essentially, he gets out of college and he declares, my gosh, I am someone special. I must do special, extraordinary things. And in the course of the play, he proceeds to attempt to do exactly that. And he doesn't necessarily succeed.
Let's talk about the music just a little bit.
Sure.
We talked about the songs that were very familiar. Would you
Yes.
regard this? How is the music to teach and have the singers and the players learn it? Tough music or kind of middle of the road, or?
The toughest part, I think, of this particular musical is not necessarily the singing itself, but the timing, the underscoring of the dialogue. And we have a wonderful ensemble that really learned the parts very early and have been singing them exceedingly well in the recent rehearsals. In fact, I think I always talk about the time sometimes when you do community theater and you work at the music for a period of time, and you have the ensemble going very well, and then on opening night they look into the lights and they all sing the melody. And that's not happened here. I think this is an excellent ensemble. There's some tricky stuff in terms of the orchestra. The original score had, I think, 23 musicians in it. But as is the case with most revivals, they have reduced the number of musicians, and they have every musician playing basically double time. So this orchestra is only 13 people as opposed to the 22 in the original version. So that's a challenge to find people. For instance, our first reed player plays piccolo, flute, alto flute, and clarinet. And our second reed player plays flute, oboe, clarinet, and bass clarinet.
So if not only is that a challenge musically, but you also run the risk of tripping over a lot of instruments in the pit.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Josh, from a set and stage design perspective, this is one of those shows that you can, go all out and have very, very complex sets, but then also go the other way and have it be, very, very simple. So where does this production lie in that continuum?
Well, this is the best way to describe it is probably closer to a black box production. So it's a very intimate, it's very intimately done. The theater itself sits about 150. So you are really up close and personal with the dancers, and some people will like that, some people may not. But the lovely thing about that, as opposed to doing it in a standard proscenium theater, is it does encourage that kind of intimacy, that kind of interaction between audience and players that you would not necessarily get in a proscenium where you have that pesky orchestra and the pit right between you and the players. So I think it lends a different vibe than most other productions of Pippin, and I kind of like that.
You mentioned the choreography. Tell me a little bit about the dance and choreography numbers. Is that again along that continuum of very, very complex and not so much? Where do you lie?
I think this is pleasantly more complex than what you might expect. I have been very fortunate. We have been very fortunate to get a choreographer, Taylor Gomez, based in Iowa City, who does a wonderful job in actually getting the ensemble into shape for these numbers. She certainly did not dumb down the choreography, I think. And the ensemble, it's a wonderful ensemble, did more than their part in being up to the challenge. So I'm very happy with the result of that.
The play is Pippin, opening at the Iowa City Community Theater, and you said running 2 weekends?
Running 2 weekends.
And opening on Friday the 20th?
Yes.
And if people want tickets, they can visit the website.
Yep, www. City Community Theater, that is one word, theater with an R-E, because they are pretentious.com.
In my experience, most of the theater companies do the RE, so
Yeah,
that's actually
absolutely.
more common than it is uncommon. Well, we've got magic to do at the Iowa City Community Theater, and I want to thank you both for coming, and thanks so much, and looking forward to a great run of the show.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
very
us.
much. Appreciate it.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most Thursdays and Fridays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule using your favorite podcast app or at kcck.org/culture. I'm Dennis Green.